Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a book that has, no joke, probably created more millionaires than any other, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. For almost 100 years, this book has been a blueprint for massive success. So, what is the secret? Let's get into it. Right from the start, Napoleon Hill makes this incredible promise. He tells us there's a powerful secret woven into the very pages of the book, a secret so potent it's responsible for one of the greatest fortunes the world has ever seen. And get this wasn't just some theory he came up with. For over 20 years, Hill was on a mission, a quest given to him by the great industrialist Andrew Carnegie, who was convinced this single formula was the key to his own unbelievable success. Now, Carnegie didn't just share his secret. He actually challenged Hill to prove it. So you got to understand, this wasn't just an idea cooked up in an office somewhere. Hill spent 2 decades putting this formula to the test, meticulously studying the lives of over 500 of the most successful people of his time to see if the same principles were at play.
And the proof? Well, the proof came from an absolutely stunning list of people. We're talking titans of industry like Andrew Carnegie and Henry Ford, groundbreaking inventors like Thomas Edison and John D. Rockefeller, and even world leaders like Theodore Roosevelt and Woodrow Wilson. He found the exact same philosophy at work in all of them, a common thread that launched them to the absolute pinnacle of life. So what on earth is this secret?
All right, this brings us to the very heart of the entire philosophy. It all rests on one single foundational idea. And it's an idea so powerful that once you really grasp it, it can fundamentally change how you see the world and, maybe more importantly, your potential in it. Here it is. The big secret is this: thoughts are things. Hill's most crucial point is that your mind is a kind of workshop. And every great achievement, every single fortune starts as just an intangible idea, an impulse of thought. What you decide to build in that mental workshop can, and he argues will, become your physical reality. It's a huge shift from seeing the world as something that happens to you to realizing it's something that responds to you. And this idea, it scales infinitely. Wealth isn't just about hard work or being lucky. It begins as a thought. The only real limit on the riches you can get is the limit you yourself place on that thought. Hill called this developing a money consciousness, a state of mind that's so completely saturated with the desire for wealth that you can already see and feel yourself having it. Okay, but that brings up a huge question, right? If our thoughts can literally become things, how do we, actually make that happen? This isn't just about wishing for things. Hill provides a super clear, practical, 6-step method for turning an idea into actual, tangible riches. So this is the engine room of the whole philosophy. The formula is really specific. First, get crystal clear on the exact amount. Second, know what value you're going to give in return. Third, set a hard deadline. Fourth, create a plan. And, this is key, start now. Fifth, write it all down. And finally, read that statement out loud twice a day and really feel it as if it's already true. This isn't magic, it's a very practical formula. Let's see how it worked for someone. So, let me introduce you to Edwin C. Barnes. This guy had one all-consuming burning desire: to become a business partner of the great Thomas A. Edison. The only problem? He was broke, he didn't know Edison, and he couldn't even afford a train ticket to get to him. But his desire was definite. Barnes finally manages to get to Edison's laboratory. And by all accounts, he looked like a tramp. But Edison saw something else entirely. Years later, he said this: "There was something in the expression of his face which conveyed the impression that he was determined to get what he had come after." Edison saw that fire, that burning desire, and he gave him a low-level job. It wasn't the partnership Barnes wanted, but it was his foot in the door. Now here's what's so important about Barnes's mindset. He didn't give himself an escape hatch. He didn't say, "Oh, I'll give this a try for a little while and see what happens." Nope, his internal commitment was absolute. He decided mentally that he would do anything for as long as it took until he was Edison's partner. He basically closed the door on every other possible outcome. And that's the key right there. Hill says Barnes left himself no possible way of retreat. He had to win or perish. That state of mind is what Hill calls a burning desire. It's not just a wish, it's not a hope, it's a full-blown obsession. And of course, the story ends with Barnes finally seeing his opportunity, partnering with Edison on a new invention, and making an absolute fortune. Okay, so if the formula is that straightforward, why isn't everyone who wants to be rich, well, rich? Why do so many people fall short? Hill argues it's because, while we're out there fighting for our desires, we're also fighting a powerful enemy that lives inside our own heads. He calls them the 6 ghosts of fear. The fear of poverty, of what other people think, of getting sick, of losing love, of getting old, and of death. Hill says these fears are basically the seedlings of failure. They create indecision and doubt, and those 2 things are absolutely lethal to a burning desire. They just paralyze our will and sabotage even our best-laid plans. So just take a moment and really look at this list. A little courageous self-analysis is the first step to getting free. Which of these ghosts are holding you back? Because, you can't conquer an enemy you refuse to even look at. Naming your fear is the first step to mastering it. And this is where the entire secret comes full circle, right back to you. Because this whole philosophy, it isn't just something you know in your head, it's something you do. It demands action. Hale tells this great story about a warrior who, facing a massive enemy army, had his troops sail to the enemy's shore. And the first thing he did when they landed, he ordered them to burn their own ships. Why would he do that? To remove any possibility of retreat, to create a situation where the only option was to move forward and win. And Hill says every single person who achieves great success has to be willing to do the same thing. So the question this explainer really leaves you with is this. What is the one thing you desire so deeply, so intensely, that you would be willing to metaphorically burn all your ships for it? Because according to Napoleon Hill, that burning desire, that win or perish mindset, that is the one force that can never, ever be defeated.